All right, let's get into something different. A really strange and fascinating tale. We're going to explore a concept that feels both ancient and somehow incredibly modern. It's called the alchemy of the Gremian spirit. And bam, right from the jump, we're pulled into this world of Gothic noir. See, this isn't just some dry concept we're talking about. This is a story, and it's unfolding in a very specific time and place, absolutely dripping with atmosphere. All right, Act 1. This is where our investigation really kicks off. We're introduced to this central mystery, right? This spectral force that's just lurking at the edge of what we can understand. And, of course, the one man who actually dares to study it. So here he is, our protagonist, the Yellow Duke. And get this, he's not just a scientist, he's an alchemist. He's on what the text calls an intellectual salvage mission. His work, we're told, is born from the furnaces of human trauma. I mean, wow, that really sets the stage for a quest that is both super intellectual and, deeply, deeply personal. So what in the world is he actually hunting? It's the Gremian spirit. And as you can see, it's not your average ghost. It's a mechanical imp. Think about that. It's like a bridge between our technological progress and some kind of primal myth. It's that spirit of unpredictability, the glitch in the system, the ghost in the machine, that just refuses to be totally controlled by our tools. Okay, moving on to Act 2, the poison and the miracle. The Duke has found his quarry, but now he's got to figure out what it is. What's its true nature? And what he discovers is, well, it's a hell of a paradox. And here it is. This is the absolute core of his thesis. The Gremian isn't something you just get rid of. It's something you have to understand, something you have to manage. It's dangerous for sure, it's a poison. But if you get the dosage just right, it becomes the catalyst for a necessary miracle. I mean, that's pure alchemy, right? Turning lead into gold, or in this case, turning total chaos into real progress. And this is brilliant because it shows this idea isn't new at all. The Duke traces its family tree, from the ancient Gremian of old folklore all the way to the 20th century gremlin that drove pilots and engineers crazy. And today, we might just see it as a kind of psychological defense mechanism. It's a way to put a face on the chaos in our super complex systems so we can actually have a relationship with it instead of just giving up. And that leads us to this concept called the uncanny hook. The idea is, to work with this force, you can't fight it head on. You gotta let it pull you in. You have to face your own industrial hubris, that arrogance that makes us think we can control absolutely everything. And you have to learn to master instability itself. The real hero here isn't the one who avoids chaos. It's the one who can drink deepest of it and somehow survive. And now for Act 3, the Emerald Phantasm rises. Okay, this is where things really escalate. That abstract threat we've been talking about, it's about to become a terrifying, real personified antagonist. This slide just lays out the two opposing forces perfectly. On one side, you've got Salvio Polido. He represents this desire for a gilded cage, a world of absolute certainty, rigid, stagnant laws, the polished floor, right? And on the other side, the Gremian spirit. It's everything that threatens that sterile order, primal myth, instability, forbidden knowledge, pure chaos. But then, something totally unexpected happens. These two forces, they don't just fight each other. They fuse. And this creates something entirely new and way, way more dangerous. The Emerald Phantasm of atavism. It's the raw chaos of the Gremian mashed up with the sterile control of Polido. It's this spectral force that threatens to drag all of humanity back to some primitive, stagnant state. Man, what a powerful image. Salvio Polido's logic of zero, his whole attempt at a perfectly safe, perfectly neutral world, it's completely shattered. The Gremian proves that no technology, no system we build is ever truly neutral. That silver mirror of perfection, it just can't handle the weight of the void, and it cracks. So, how does the Duke even begin to respond to this? Well, that brings us to Act 4, Forging the Blade of Azoth. He decides to create a weapon, but not a weapon of destruction. It's a weapon of transformation. And this is pure, classic alchemy. The Duke doesn't try to kill the Phantasm, no. Instead, he forges this new tool, the Blade of Azoth. And the process, which you see here, is incredible. He has to capture that volatile entity, anchor it to the hilt of the blade, and then use that constant struggle to basically liquefy and reforge his own self. He's literally transforming the blade and his own soul at the same time. The source has this wild name for it, Fichtean necromancy. It's basically a kind of philosophical magic. See, the blade isn't just a tool for beating an enemy. It's a living symbol of turning failure and chaos into this noble, transformative conflict, a literal duel of fates. And this all leads us to the climax, Act 5, Rejecting the Void. Now that he has this incredible power in his hands, the Duke faces the ultimate philosophical choice. He gets an offer, sovereignty of the void. He could use the blade to become the absolute master, the jailer of this chaotic force. But he chooses a different path, something called the Great Noon. Instead of controlling the demon, he uses it as a catalyst to dissolve his own ego, to grow beyond the person he used to be. And this is his great epiphany. The Gremian, the chaos, the glitch, the ghost in the machine, it was never the real enemy. It was progress's most honest and, most terrifying companion. It's the one thing that keeps us from getting stagnant and falling in love with our own flawed idea of perfection. Which brings us to our final act, the ghost in our machine. The Duke's personal story might be wrapping up, but the ghost he was chasing, man, it is more relevant today than it has ever been. We never get a neat little ending for the Duke himself. He just vanishes. He gets absorbed into the very gears of Western thought he was studying. And his laboratory is left behind as this haunting reminder that our greatest inventions, they always come with unintended consequences. They all have their own ghosts. And this defines the risk we all face today, the tragedy of the unowned. It's this kind of spiritual entropy, a decay that sets in when we just ignore the warning signs, the coded signals of failure, the Gremian spirits haunting our own marvelous inventions. So, the story leaves us with a direct question. A question for us. The Duke confronted his Gremian. We have our own, right? The bugs in our code, the crazy side effects of new technology, the systemic failures we'd all much rather ignore. So what happens if we just pretend they aren't there? What becomes of us? And here it is, the final powerful takeaway. The choice isn't between a perfect, ghost-free world and a chaotic one. That's not on the table. The real choice is between learning to fly with our ghosts, to actually use them as catalysts to grow and to change, or to be destroyed by our own arrogance and perish in the cold earth of a stagnant and forgotten world. A pretty chilling thought to end on.